I wanna get with you and I feel like real nasty. Yo, you make
Hi guys! Hi guys! Hi guys! I am Riza. I am Pretty Leia. I am Sheena. And we are your Math Angels. This time, we are going to show you how to do hypothesis testing for population mean. Example number 1.
A random sample of 35 recorded deaths of the Philippine eagle during the past year shown an average lifespan of 38.6 years, with a standard deviation of 10.7 years. That this seems to indicate that the average lifespan today is less than 39.6 years. Use a 0.05 level of significance.
Solutions. Step number 1. State the null and the alternative hypothesis. In the problem, the null hypothesis or HO is mean is equal to 39.6, while the alternative hypothesis or HA is mean is less than 39.6. Step 2. Identify the level of significance and the appropriate test statistics. Level of significance is A is equal to 0.05. HA is directional. Hypothesis test is one-tailed, and since standard deviation is known and n is greater than 30, the appropriate test statistic is z-test. Step 3. Determine the critical region of the test statistic. Since standard deviation is known and n is greater than 30, we'll be using z is less than negative za. A there is our level of significance, so we will substitute and it will become z is less than negative z 0.05. Therefore, our critical value is z is less than negative 1.645. Step 4. Compute for the z or t value. Since we are using the z-test, our formula would be sample mean minus population mean over standard deviation divided by the square root of n. Substitute, it would be 38.6 minus 39.6 over 10.7 divided by the square root of 35, and it will give us the answer of negative 0.55. Therefore, our z-test value is negative 0.55. Step 5. Decide whether to accept or reject the null hypothesis. Our decision will be to accept HO, since the computed value of z, which is 0.55, doesn't lie in the critical region, which is negative 1.645. And the last one, state the conclusion. There is no significant average lifespan today that is less than 39.6 years using 0.05 level of significance.
The nutritional value of two products are being compared. The population standard deviation for product 1 and 2 are assumed to be 10 kilograms and 15 kilograms respectively. Samples from each product were randomly selected. For product 1, the sample size is 35 with a mean value of 20 kilograms. Those of product 2, the sample size is 30 with a mean value of 25 kilograms. Determine if there is a significant difference between the two products with a 0.05 level of significance.
Solutions. Step number 1. State the null and the alternative hypothesis. In the problem, our null hypothesis or HO is mean sub 1 minus mean sub 2 is equal to 0, while our alternative hypothesis or HA is mean sub 1 minus mean sub 2 is not equal to 0. Step 2. Identify the level of significance and the appropriate test statistics. Based on the problem given, level of significance is A is equal to 0.05. HA is non-directional, hypothesis test is two-tailed, and since standard deviation 1 and standard deviation 2 are known, then the appropriate test statistics is z-test. Step 3. determine the critical region of the test statistics. Since the standard deviation 1 and standard deviation 2 are known, we will be using the z-test. So our formula would be the absolute value of z is greater than z a over 2. Substitute, it will become the absolute value of z is greater than z 0.05, which is our level of significance, over 2. And it will give us an answer of the absolute value of z is greater than 2.33. Step 4. Compute for the z or t value. And since we are using the z-test, our formula would be mean sub 1 minus mean sub 2 minus 0 over the square root of standard deviation 1 squared divided by n sub 1 plus the standard deviation 2 squared divided by n sub 2. Substitute, it will become 20 minus 25 over the square root of 10 squared divided by 35 plus 15 squared divided by 30. And it will give us an answer of negative 1.55. Therefore, our z value is negative 1.55. Step 5. Decide whether to accept or reject the null hypothesis. In the problem, we will be accepting HO since the computed value of z, which is negative 1.55, is not within the critical region, which is 2.33. Step 6 and the last step. State the conclusion. There is no significant difference between product 1 and product 2 at a level of significance of 0.05.
An agriculturist recorded the span of ripeness of certain fruits without ripening agents. From a random sample of 50 fruits, the length of time for the fruits to mature showed an average span of 8 days with a standard deviation of 4 days. Test the hypothesis that the average span of ripeness of certain fruits today is greater than 5 days using a 0.01 level of significance.
Solutions. Step number 1. State the null and alternative hypothesis. This time, our null hypothesis is mean is equal to 5, while our alternative hypothesis is mean is greater than 5. Step 2. Identify the level of significance and the appropriate test statistics. Based on the problem given, the level of significance is A is equal to 0.01. HA is directional, hypothesis test is one-tailed, and since standard deviation is unknown, but n is greater than 30, the appropriate test statistics is z-test. Step 3. Determine the critical value of the test statistics. Since standard deviation is unknown and n is greater than 30, we'll be using the z-test. So our formula would be z is greater than za. Our a there is our level of significance, so we will be going to substitute 0.01 to the a. So it will become z is greater than z 0.01. And it will give us the answer of z is greater than 2.575. Step 4. Compute for the z or t value. And since we are using the z-test, our formula will be z is equal to sample mean minus population mean over s divided by the square root of n. Substitute, so it will become 8 minus 5 over 4 divided by the square root of 50, and it will give us an answer of 5.30. Therefore, our z value is 5.30. Step 5. Decide whether to accept or reject the null hypothesis. In this problem, we will be rejecting HO. Since the computed value of z, which is 5.30, is within the critical region, which is 2.575. Step 6 and the last step. State the conclusion. There is significant difference of the average span of ripeness of certain fruits today at 0.01 level of significance.
So that is all for today. Thank you for watching, guys! And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and please do wait for our updates.